Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today for this powerful and insightful webinar entitled Building the Frontier Energy Firm of the Future, Driving AI-Powered Transformation, One Agent at a Time. My name is Gary Peterson. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at MangoBytes AI, and I will be your moderator today. I've got 37 years. Seems kind of crazy to think back of being in business, and started out more brick and mortar first 9 years, and then the last 28 years have been in the technology space, building companies and growing them and having just a tremendous time doing it, making sure, seeing the trends that are coming down the pipe, and then always thinking about customer first and how we take those trends and we take that strategy and we put it into reality and something that the customers can use, embrace, and move their business going forward. Today, our objective is to do four things for you. One, allow you to gain some valuable insight and information into this AI era we are in right now, and really to demystify this era with actionable insights and things that you can really take forward. We want you to learn all about Agentic AI and really how that is bridging for companies the ability to embrace AI into their organizations and everything that they do. We want to allow you to gain some actionable insights from our great panelists, stuff that you can learn from their experience and frankly take forward into your everyday life and business and serving your customers. And finally, we want you to be inspired. We are in a tremendous era right now, AI era that we call it. It's the frontier era that we're in, right? Building frontier firms. 37 years. Some of you have been doing this as long as I have, and maybe even a little bit more, but this is by far the most impactful era that we've been. You could say, well, the internet era was pretty important. It was really important. But this era that we're in right now is a game changer. I think you can go back to the Industrial Revolution to figure out what kind of impact this is going to have on us personally, on businesses, to be able to embrace it and serve their customers and maybe change their business models as they go forward and not only survive, but thrive in this era. So we want you to be inspired and embrace it. And for you all being on the phone today, that's exactly what you're doing. And I applaud you for doing that. Today, we're going to do, our agenda is going to look like this. First 15 minutes, which looks like I've got 11 to go. We're going to do introductions and then framing where we are in this era right now. And so really talk about AI, but really focus on Agentic AI. I truly believe this is the glue that's going to demystify it for a lot of people, a lot of companies, and make it very practical for companies and people to use on a daily basis and embrace. We're going to have a 35-minute panel discussion where I'm going to pose 5 key questions that maybe you've been thinking about, your company's been thinking about, the 5 key questions, and we'll let our great panelists give you their thoughts on those. And then in between, we're going to try to do a poll. And so keep it interactive. We'd love to have fun along the way, keep things interactive. So be ready to click on the poll and give us your input there. We also are going to have 5 minutes of Q&A if we still have time. So if you've got a question in the chat, just put it there. There's actually a Q&A button you can click as well. Just go ahead and put your question in there. If we don't get to it in the Q&A session, we'll definitely get back to you before the holidays. And then we're going to end with 5 minutes around closing remarks, then a call to action. So without further ado, let's introduce our great panelists. First, we have John Martin. John is a 32-year oil and gas veteran. He's CEO of Texian Operating, where he and his team manage 1,500 oil and gas wells in Texas, Louisiana, and New Mexico. He and his team have done something pretty cool. They have deployed and utilized MangoBytes AI agentic solutions over the past 3 years. So John has some very interesting and awesome input into how they've gained insights and outcomes on how that technology is used in their organization. And I think for a lot of us, it's how they've actually been able to embrace it and then grow it and get people excited about it. So John's got some great input there. We'll be able to embrace that as well. Thank you, John, for being on our call today. John is from Irving, Texas. We also have Selena Bilesberger. She is say that 10 times fast, a geologist turned business strategist and technology leader with 25 years of experience in using data and technology to optimize assets, streamline operations, and support the energy transition. She is a key visionary for the Microsoft Global Energy and Resource team. She works with industry leaders to drive AI-powered transformation across the entire energy spectrum in the Americas. She sees a lot out there, but Selena brings her deep expertise in digital innovation, commercial strategies, and process optimization in our AI era. Selena is out of Calgary, Canada. Thank you, Selena, for joining us today. Next, we have Vijay Casaretti. Vijay is a 30-year technology veteran and business builder. He is co-founder of MangoBytes AI and also co-founder of Mango Group. Mango Group is our parent company that has $1 billion plus assets under management in land, energy, and renewables, as well as technology, which MangoBytes represents the technology company there. Vijay is also a 14-year veteran of Microsoft, where he helped lead the AI team at one of their organizations called Microsoft Research from 2019 to 2021. Vijay has seen a lot of technology megatrends along the way. I know he's been at the forefront of that. Vijay is our visionary within our company. Vijay, thanks for joining us. Vijay is from Bellevue, Washington. Last but certainly not least is Greg Mosier. Greg Mosier is a 28-year tech veteran building large-scale and successful systems integrators, mostly in the Microsoft ecosystem. Greg is president of CompuSoft Digital, which is a division of CompuSoft. CompuSoft is a technology company, a very successful one that have been around for years, well over 100 million in annual revenue. Greg and his team are growing out the commercial side of the Microsoft business. Greg and his team partner extensively with Microsoft and is very focused in the energy industry. Greg has interesting insights in bringing technology solutions, partnerships, all the way down to customers. Greg is out of Houston, Texas. And Greg, thank you so much for being on the call with us today. Okay, let's see if we can move forward. Okay, so now let me set the scene for us. Let's talk a little bit about Agentic AI. Let's use, no surprise, MangoBytes AI as an example here. What you see in front of you is the MangoBytes AI homepage. And we'll give you the link to it at the end. Why am I going from the homepage? Because we're pretty proud of what we've created. We think this homepage, we want it to be, frankly, weaponize it in the most positive way for customers, our prospects, our partners, our trusted, Microsoft people in the, in the field or any other technology strategic partner down, from the corporate group all the way down to the field. And so what we have here in front of us is MangoBytes AI, which is a 3-year-old agentic AI software and products company. We're built 100% on the Microsoft platform for security, scale, and intelligence. We're what's called the Microsoft ISV, which is a certified independent software vendor. We're also on the Microsoft Marketplace. And I'll just note, on that one, it's kind of a fun process to go through. You have to jump through a lot of hurdles. Microsoft brings their smartest of the smartest to be able to look at your solution and make sure it checks all the boxes. And I'm very happy to say we got through that in absolute record time, just because of the incredible solution that we built over the last 3 years, that we've been working with it in operations. It's hardened. Customers are using it. We're using it. And so we're able to get through that very, very quickly. So let's go through this and then let's talk about Agentic AI. So AI agents, you've heard of that. Whether you call them your digital assistant, maybe your Microsoft digital colleagues, some people call them your digital coworkers. I like to call them my digital team members. And so agents are developed, they do tasks, they do roles for you. So you can have agents by role, you can have agents by process, you can have agents by a vertical that you serve. And in this case, we're built for energy, land, and renewables. And of course, we have an agent library. We have 30 agents right now. We're going to 100 that you can enjoy. We have 4 products. We have a product called Pixie. Pixie is your super agent. It's like Copilot on steroids, right? But it's built with all our intelligence put into it, all our language models, and frankly, all our experience over the last 3 years for these industries. It's hooked up to, like if you're in Texas, it's hooked up to the Railroad Commission and 1.2 million wells where you have access to that. We have our agent library I talked about. We have our AI analytics solution, and then we have our AI studio where you actually have agents to help you modify agents that we have right now for your need or build new ones. And then we have resources that you can tap into, the resources from webinars, case studies, demo vignettes. Every agent we have has a demo vignette of 5 minutes, so you can see exactly what it's doing, why it's doing it, and how you can utilize it. Customer testimonials, blogs, and facts, FAQs. And then, of course, we are honored and growing through our partner network. That's how we grow. So, and we're honored to have a lot of partners on with us today, gaining additional insights and looking how they can take either from sales perspective, delivery perspective, industry perspective, moving forward. And of course, I love our story. Our story is what we call an inside out innovation story, where we've developed our technology over our operations for the last 3 years. And much like Amazon and, has done throughout their lifetime, they use it, they get all the benefit out of it, begin with, they work out all the kinks, and then they offer it out into the public. And that's how AWS came to be. I would say building the frontier firm of the future, one AI agent at a time. So think about that mantra, and that's what we're gonna talk about going forward. Building the frontier firm of the future, embrace where we are with AI, but one AI agent at a time. So this isn't a quick panacea. You can't just, from our experience, go in and blow it out and say, give us all 100. I'd love for that. I'd be great to work with you. But we find bring one in, learn about it. Let's embrace it. Let's figure it out. And then let's bring the second one in. Let's have a roadmap going forward. And so that's where our mantra comes in. Just quickly, we've got what we call our agent library. And frankly, another slogan we have, our agent library, is your agent library, right? Whether you're a customer, whether you're a partner, everything we've developed, you have access to as well. Whether it's H10 form filling agents, where an AI-powered agent will assist you in filling the Texas RRC H10 form without EDI files. So it could take you 4 to 5 hours, to do it. You've got to do it once a year. Based on, if you have one well, you got to do it at least once a year. Why not do it in 5 minutes with an agent, right? Agents, again, formulated by energy, that's the vertical, compliance and regulatory, that would be the role. Or you could have landman role agent, so a drilling permit scraper agent, an AI-powered agent that automates retrieval of new drilling permits and related data and associated plat files for selected Texas counties. Why not do that with an agent? Or you can sort through a bunch of information to try to get that info in. Or you can have oil and gas forecasting agent, which is part of our hedging and trading. Or you can even take it down to production report agent, right? Which is in our production and operations. This is how every agent that you pull up looks. They all look the same. They have the same look and feel. Well workover agent, let's pick on that for a minute. It's an AI agent that ingests well artifacts, schematics, tallies, economics, AFE sheets, and produces a ready decision BCG style one-page executive insights for downstream automation. Again, why spend 2 to 3 weeks with your amazing talent doing maybe 3 or 4, or maybe up to 10 a year of these? Why not take that amazing talent and do 20 of them, 30 of them, so you can optimize where you actually do your well workovers at the end of the day. Each one has 5 questions. How can this agent assist me, and why is it better? What can you do and what can't you do? What workflow process do you use? What are the quantitative benefits of using you? And you see an example of that right in the beginning. And it's always around the big 4, around productivity and efficiency, quality, improved satisfaction from a customer, employee, or scale, where you can take and push it forward. So outcomes, quantitative benefits are really important with each of our agents. Very tuned into that. And then the last is how to get started. All right, so that was a lot, but why don't we get going now? As usual, I'm probably 3 minutes behind, but we're going to keep it going. So buckle up, here we go. All right, love this part of it. We've got our 3 panelists. The first that you're going to see is our anchor, right? So it's our leadoff hitter, which John is in this case, and it's going to answer the question. And then we have 2 additional experts to add on to that. And then we're going to go to our next question. We're also going to try to do a poll in between each question. So I'll signal the poll. We'll spend about 30 to 45 seconds, 20 seconds. You guys click on it, and then we'll look at the results. Okay, so here we go. How is AI transforming upstream oil and gas operations today? John? Take it away. John, if you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I'm already illustrating my computer skills. Gary, thanks for having us, letting us share our experience today. When we talk about the word transforming, it's a pretty big word. In our industry, we look back at what were the things that transformed us that we all think are popular: horizontal drilling and frac technology and a lot of the project level things. And when you ask us about computer transformations, I think back to email, not to date myself, but that was probably the last thing I remember that was truly transformative in our industry. So when we were asked to work with the MangoBytes group and start this journey, you can imagine where we were in the process, giving that where we were in our careers. So we started at ground zero, not a lot of knowledge of AI, and really we're faced with bringing things to the staff and starting the process. So, kind of what have we learned and how do we feel like it's affected our business? Number one, the process has really created scalability at every position. We went around and queried the staff of what could we do with their jobs to help them scale and be more efficient. And we have come up with agents with work plans for future agents for every job to help them. And that's with direct input from the employees. And not to use a cliche, but it's certainly been a force multiplier for every job. And, kind of as an example of that, we talked about our regulatory person, she was spending 3 weeks out of every month doing nothing but filling out forms and inputting data. A lot of that now is done within a few days of just transferring information and really being the facilitator of that information rather than being the data entry clerk. And it's been an enormous amount of time savings, and we can repurpose her to do some other things and help us and not have to hire additional people to do a lot of that data entry. It's also, been really helping us from a time and process standpoint, and that the information's available to everybody in our staff at all levels, even down to the field foreman level. And I like to use an example. One of my foremen was sitting on a location when a well went down, and he picked up his cell phone, logged into Teams, got into Pixie, and literally asked Pixie, hey, the XYZ well has gone down. Can you look at the previous LOE information and tell me if a $50,000 workover would be profitable and what the payout would be, and was able to get that answer. And so rather than the process being, I'm going to call the office, talk to the engineer, do we want to work this over, have a tech pull all the information, go to accounting, get the LOEs, put all that together. Pixie spit all that out in about 5 minutes of, yeah, you can work over and it's a 3-month payout. And not only that, we can forward that well to our production tech, and they can print out a generic procedure, a generic AFE for our engineer to do a quick review and send it to me for an approval. So, from my standpoint, it's a huge amount of time savings, and it saves us a lot of process and pulling a lot of information just to get to one answer. And now that foreman feels like he's part of the process. He's a decision maker. He has everything he needs to call his boss and say, this is what I recommend. And we can tell him on the fly, yeah, go ahead and proceed, and we can move forward. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but in the big scope of things, when you look at that times 1,500 wells, it's a huge process and time saver for us. And the information's a lot more accurate than trying to go to 3 or 4 different people and assemble a decision from that. So that's been a game changer. And then we're just now really getting into some of the technological and logic-based automation stuff. We're working on a project right now as an example that allows us to cut our electrical costs across the board to all our fields by setting up a series of AI filters with different well profitability parameters input to it. So if we're buying power on the spot market a lot cheaper than on a contract rate, it'll notify us hourly and daily of, hey, we're having a spike in electrical costs. You need to shut in this bucket of wells for 5 hours or 6 hours until the temperatures cool off. Things like that we are building out now that are huge game changers. We looked at just one of our fields that we've been working on that technology with, and just that process of being able to manipulate our spot power costs will save us about $600,000 a year in electrical costs. So when we look at, is it transformative in our industry? Yeah, we're still very early in the process, but everything we've come up with that we thought we could do with this, it creates 2 more things that now we wish we could add to it. So yeah, we're still growing and we're still learning as a company that started at ground zero. But yeah, so far it's made a huge difference in our business. And then really from a managerial standpoint, it really does the one thing I always focus on as a manager. It provides the staff the tools they need to really do their job more effectively and efficiency, and feel like they have what they need to make a difference in the company, which is what I think a lot of employees really want in a job description. And it helps with employee retention, it helps with costs, it helps with G&A. So all that factors into the decisions and the process as well. We look back and how much time we were spending with data entry, with being bogged down with having right information, with just having a staff of people to input information, transfer information. It's been huge when we eliminate a lot of those processes and really empower people to do more with their job. In addition, it's kind of smoothed out a lot of our personnel needs. I think Gary mentioned before, the agents are, to me, it's kind of like having a bullpen full of employees and team members that you can use either full-time or as you need it. When an acquisition comes up, you can query the railroad commission data, the environmental data, the production data. You can build your financial models that much quicker rather than having to go to data rooms or pull different sources of information. It's allowed us to do more full-time things, like we mentioned with the regulatory, or even just doing risk management or managerial reporting of, what does my quarterly report look like? Can you give me charts and graphs for my profitability, for my LOE costs, things like that. So it's a lot of small things that add up to some really big efficiencies and some big savings. And overall, I don't know if I'm over or under my 3 minutes, but I still think the biggest asset is it empowers our employees and empowers our people, and it really creates a sense of being a participant in the company and a decision maker that I think really retains good people and good staff and allows us to say we really do have a great team. And we still don't know the full capability of what AI will do for us, but we started the process. It's been profitable. It's been incredibly eye-opening. And we're really excited about what the other things are that we can do with it now that we've upped our knowledge on what AI can do for the company. So,
John,
Gary, I hope
thanks
that
so
answers the
much.
question.
Yeah, you've earned as much time as you want, my friend, for what you've gone through and your team has gone through and what you've embraced early on. And it's unbelievable to see what your company, how far you've moved forward and under your leadership. So congratulations. Selena, how about add on to that for about 60 seconds and we'll go to VJ and then we'll go to a polling question.
Yeah, absolutely. And really the theme we're seeing and aligns directly with John's comments is the people are leveraging AI, both the more traditional AI ML services, as well as the agentic AI and generative AI components to modernize operations, focusing on providing the right information to the right person at the right time. And the reason that we're all doing this, right, as John indicated, we're trying to improve productivity, but more so than that, we're trying to enhance safety in the field, really, really critical in our industry, and enhance returns at the same time, right? This is really an effort of modernization. So I'll emphasize that. I would say it's modernization to me that will transform the industry. But we have to invest back in our operations, in technology. We're seeing a lot of that in upstream around seismic processing and interpretation, reservoir simulation. The enhancements in the capability there to reduce noise, preserve signal, reprocess data using high performance compute and surface new signals is helping us find new fields, right? The ability to talk to your exploration data, your well data, helps uncover new opportunities to redevelop old fields. Being able to incorporate agentic intelligence into the offerings that a lot of the oil field services companies are providing out to the field is really helping in multi-component dynamic drilling, reducing time and helping organizations to deliver closer plan wells. We also are seeing this, of course, in the back office part of the operations, right? In finance, in procurement, enhancing production accounting, right? And enhancing all the planning components, including some of the agents that MangoBytes provides in this space. Lots and lots of opportunity there. Really looking at these things one agent at a time, one process at a time, and thinking about that process transformation along the way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Vijay, anything to add?
Yeah. Thank you, Gary. I'll answer this from an asset owner's angle. So when we acquired upstream assets, what surprised me wasn't the geology. As John was saying earlier, it was how much of our specialist time was spent on things like paperwork, filling forms, chasing data across systems, and especially the amount of time that it took to get answers to very simple questions. So what that meant was it left very little time for our people and for ourselves to think or explore new ideas. AI is transforming upstream operations by taking that busy work off people's plates, by handling routine workflows, surfacing answers instantly, and even suggesting ideas teams hadn't thought about before. So the real shift is this. Work moves from reactive to proactive, stressful to meaningful. And for us, it's not replacing expertise, but it's giving experts their time back. So when we look at the outcome, it isn't just time or cost savings, but it's better decisions and also non-linear savings. In our case, when we quadrupled our assets, we only doubled the costs. And that's what AI looks like in production today. Gary, back to you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. We are going to skip our first polling question. Let's go on to the next question. That was incredible insights. Just frankly, it was a master class on frankly an entire webinar in itself. So thank you, panelists. Let's go on to our next. What are the biggest challenges and opportunities for energy firms adapting AI agents? So we're going to mess with the order a little bit. BJ, why don't you kick us off on that one?
Yeah, absolutely, Gary. Yeah, I'll start with the big picture because it frames both the challenge and the opportunity. Today, roughly 1 billion people live with energy abundance, enjoying modern comforts and conveniences. Another 7 billion or so aspire to that same quality of life. To put that in perspective, about 10% of the world's population is without basic access to electricity. For everyone to enjoy the modern way of life, we need 7 times more energy. So structurally, energy demand is only going one direction. At the same time, AI itself is accelerating electricity and natural gas demand, while years of underinvestment have left the industry exposed to all this price volatilities and obviously thin margins. And we have seen what happened during the COVID time. Against that backdrop, I see three core challenges and opportunities for energy firms adopting AI agents. First, how do you survive and stay ahead in a low price environment, the one that we are in right now? Warren Buffett has a line I often think about. Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. In down cycles such as the current moment, efficiency isn't optional. It is existential. AI agents lower break-even costs by taking time and cost out of the system. As John was mentioning earlier, for example, compliance agents can dramatically streamline regulatory workflows, identifying what forms are due, filling them, and filing them, taking a process that used to take as many as 5 days per field down to 5 minutes. That is not just savings, but it's a resilience. The second opportunity and the question is, how do you keep investing when margins are under pressure, when the cash flows are not that good? The answer is productivity. AI lets operators innovate cheaper and faster by improving the performance of existing assets. For example, workover and optimization agents continuously analyze field data, flag which wells that need attention, and suggest actions. A workover plan that used to take weeks can now be built in minutes, helping teams extract more value from what they already own. And then the third question is, how do you make existing fields more sustainable? Sustainability comes from better ideas, fewer chemicals, smarter power usage, tighter control of high-cost drivers, and so on and so forth. AI agents such as Pixie, with access to operational and financial data, allow teams not only to explore those ideas systematically, but also to benchmark what actually works. The opportunity is simple but powerful. AI agents don't just save costs, they change how we think, decide, and adapt. And in a volatile energy future and a low price environment, that adaptability becomes a real competitive advantage. So Gary, I hope I was under 3 minutes.
You were, and the Warren Buffett, comment and example, it couldn't be more relative today. And really thinking about energy and not only the idea of running it, the operations more efficiently, but the why behind it. And we have so much why in spreading, goodness throughout the world, but also especially in the AI era we're in right now with data centers and whatnot, and the US for sure. And, and our partners need to embrace leadership there. And so we need the energy industry to be as powerful and as efficient and as productive as possible. So thank you for that. John, maybe 60 seconds from your perspective. We'll get it to Selena. And then I think we're just going to go right to the next question. So John, to you.
Yeah, I think, challenges and opportunities, explore cost savings through integration of all the various data that's out there. A lot of this is external sources of data, not necessarily internal. Help with power management, help with hedging, help with forecasting, risk management, things like that. And a lot of this data is through third-party sources that previously wasn't readily available or easily accessible for us. So that's where we see a huge growth for us. And some of the challenges of that is implementing that data, making it trustworthy, doing the QC process to integrate it into your AI models. Those are still challenging and part of the process that need to be done. But I think all that allows us to kind of solve for some new and unique competitive advantage solutions for different fields or different problems that we have. And, it really comes down to how do you have a competitive advantage over the market or your competition and lower your costs even beyond what you imagine when you acquired properties, drilled wells, or did whatever. So I think for us, adapting to the staff, having believable information, integrating that information, and then that allows us to explore a lot more data and use that toward our efficiency solution.
Wonderful. Awesome. Selena.
In terms of challenges, I would say the biggest thing when we think about driving any change in an organization, especially a change this large, is that you need to think about people, process, and technology. And in our case, in this world, the technology is really evolving faster than the ability of many people to adapt to the new technology. So ensuring that you're working on the culture around this, you're driving incentives for people to adopt the technology are going to be really, really critical to driving success. And then looking at process. It's not just aversion to technology. People often show aversion to changing processes that they've been doing for many, many years. Another area that has to be looked at, because that will really support the technology adoption. You don't want to take a new technology and apply it on an old process, right? You want to rethink the process and apply the technology to support that along the way with the people support around it. So that's what I'd say around the challenge. And then in terms of the opportunity, Microsoft's mission statement really aligns to this for me. Empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. That is what AI is unlocking for all of us, whether it's in your personal life, whether it's at work. the types of things that are coming to the forefront, the emergence of this technology, bringing new batteries to reduce the need for critical materials, critical elements, inventing new pharmaceuticals faster than ever, unlocking material science, finding new energy sources. The opportunity is so immense in leveraging this technology and the emergence of quantum going forward that it's really, really exciting about what the future looks like for all of us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, on to our next question. Obviously, we're skipping the polling because we've got to look at the time a little bit. I really want to get to these 5 questions if we can. So how can strategic partnerships between technology providers and energy companies accelerate AI adoption? Greg, start us off.
Great question, Gary. And when you look at moving these initiatives forward, organizational alignment and consensus are the key ingredients to any digital transformation. You have to have the vision alignment, you have to have the ROI understanding, and then you have to put the project charter and roadmap together. I mean, that's regardless of how you move forward. Step one, Selena, I'm so glad you brought up, the concept of balance, right? People, process, technology is so overused at times, but when you think about it and dissect it and take a step back, it's so relevant. I mean, when you heard John speak to, a team member spending 3 weeks, 3 months filling out information and getting that down to days. Now you're able to repurpose that person, that team member, that ambassador to other more proactive value-add initiatives. We talked about the process as well when John mentioned the workover process, that they were able to very quickly get the data points that they need and then show a 3-month ROI so that they could prioritize. That just shows the power of people and process working together. And then you have this thing called technology, which enables each of these adoptions within the space. And you look at what Microsoft's doing in MangoBytes from an evolution perspective, that bridges all the disparate islands of data into one unified view that allows you to action on it. So what I would say is, drive that organizational alignment and consensus within your firm. This will help you understand the outcomes to get the benefits that you're looking for. Bring that balance in every single way that you can. And I think partners help by developing and defining use cases, just like we talked about today. And then the foundational elements in the ecosystem of Microsoft and the symbiotic correlation between data, business apps, modern work like Outlook, systems that we use on a regular basis. All those things integrated are going to help your business in the good times and the bad. Lastly, the value and the expectations that you should have are quicker time to value, more, John mentioned about making his team more effective and efficient. I'm glad you discussed that, John. That's so important because, if your team is much more effective, they're going to, drive business value across the various, organization aspects and, progress and projects as well. So, again, those are the balanced areas that we see. And as organizational alignment and consensus is the start. Gary, I'd love to kind of get your thoughts as well. I mean, obviously, you've been in the space for quite some time. So, what are your thoughts on the question?
I'm going to hold that response because I'm going to have Vijay step in, and then let's see if I can be the anchor on this one, and then we'll go to our next one. But Greg, thanks bringing it all in together, and I'm not certain I have much to add, but we'll figure something out. Vijay, why don't you take it for 60 seconds, and I'll close.
Thank you, Greg and Gary. So Greg and Selena added some wonderful points around people, process, and culture, which is incredibly important. So the only thing that I would add is that AI is unlike previous technologies we have deployed in energy because it's not just software. It services as a software. In many ways, it services arbitrage at scale. And what we noticed is that the fastest adoption happens when you tightly pair domain knowledge with technical expertise, because the processes in the energy domain aren't standard. The same process can mean different things to different teams. One engineer's workover isn't another's, and 2 geologists can look at the same data and reach different conclusions. So that means AI can't be rigid. The architecture has to support different levels of workflows, autonomy, and controls, and so on and so forth. So that's why strategic partnerships matter. When energy experts and AI teams work together, such as what we did with John's teams, AI adapts to domain reality and augments expertise, and that's when adoption really scales. And that's exactly what MangoBytes did with Texian Operating Company.
Vijay, that's amazing. You brought it together. The one thing I think from my perspective and thinking about actually the career in technology and working with customers to help them embrace, whether it's business applications, ERP, Salesforce, automation, all the way to custom app, large projects and everything in between with data, et cetera, is what gets me so excited about this is the dream of being able to think about not only AI, but agentic AI, the agents is like little mini solutions, implementations. I mean, we're talking days to weeks to get an agent up and running instead of months to years. So I think from that perspective, you can, you know, and again, back to our tagline, building the frontier firm of the future, one AI agent at a time. I'll be a broken record on that. Is, the thought of what this could do in the organization when you're 3 years into it, like John is, the world's your oyster. But when you're just beginning, it's almost too immense because of the fact that it could do so much. Simplify it. That is my recommendation to everyone right now. Simplify it to what one agent could do, the highest impact agent, whether it's in regulatory compliance, whether it's in landman, whether it's in production and operations. Figure out that one agent you can bring in that's going to have a great impact and maybe go broad so others can see it and enjoy it, adopt it, and then you can enable others. And you do that with everything that we talked about, from the ecosystem of partners and technology providers, all the way to obviously partnering with you all as customers to be able to enable it. So super exciting era we are in, and excited about the next question. What role does Microsoft and its ecosystem play enabling energy transition with AI? Selena?
So there's three core elements really to this for Microsoft. We as an organization have made really bold sustainability commitments. We're building innovative infrastructure, and we've built a collaborative partner network to support the energy transition. From our own net zero journey, we've committed to being carbon negative by 2030 and removing all historical emissions by 2050. We're also aiming to be water positive and zero waste by 2030. These aren't just goals for the organization, they shape the solutions that we're delivering to the energy sector. For example, we're contracting renewable energy across the globe and developing solutions using Azure OpenAI services to automate permitting documentation to help accelerate the development of renewable projects and nuclear licensing. This type of work helps enable the build out of energy infrastructure much faster and provide those sources of energy that we need as we work to build out the infrastructure to support AI development at scale. In terms of that AI development, we're also transforming our data center design and operations as we grow our footprint. We're driving innovations like direct-to-chip cooling, saving over 125 million liters of water per facility annually. And we've developed hybrid timber steel construction methods to reduce embodied carbon by up to 65% compared to traditional concrete. These advances really help ensure that while we're growing our AI compute power footprint, it doesn't come at expense of the planet. And finally, from a partner ecosystem perspective, we know that the energy companies that we work with are facing complex challenges, trying to increase throughput while at the same time reduce costs for energy, reduce emissions, scale renewables, and modernize the grid. Microsoft actively partners with companies like MangoBytes, Context Labs, Schneider Electric, C3 AI, and others to deliver AI-powered platforms to optimize operations, predict equipment failures, and improve energy efficiency. A really great example of this collaboration and our investment in this technology is our work in the Northern Lights project, which is a flagship carbon capture and storage initiative in Europe. We partnered with Northern Lights and SLB to digitalize this carbon capture and storage value chain using Azure cloud services and open source data platforms. This is really critical work for scaling carbon capture and storage to meet global net zero goals. By bringing AI and cloud innovation to carbon capture and storage and DAC developments, we're helping make industrial decarbonization a reality. So really, in short, our whole thought process here is leading by example. We're working to provide sustainable digital infrastructure services and partnering with companies to support that vision to drive this energy future.
Awesome. We're super proud of Microsoft, super proud to be a strategic partner with them as well. Greg, why don't you take us home on that? We'll go to our last question, and then we will close it out.
Yeah, and just amazing things that Microsoft is doing. When you look at the embedded agentic AI ecosystem that Microsoft's delivering across Teams and Outlook and business apps and things along those lines, they are truly leading the agentic AI way. And it's a symbiotic correlation into each one of their applications, which allow you to really kind of focus on the balance, as we talked about earlier, across agentic AI and other workloads as well. I mean, first and foremost, just what Microsoft's doing is, disruptive in a good way. They are changing the game. Second, I mean, you hear what Selena and the oil and gas team's doing. They have the industry acumen. They understand the use cases. Microsoft is helping innovate in areas that companies haven't thought of doing in the past. So again, just leading the charge from innovation perspective. And then lastly, Gary, I think the partner ecosystem. I mean, bringing companies like MangoBytes and CompuSoft and Microsoft together, the power of three, to deliver business outcomes is second to none. So just very pleased to see everything that Microsoft's doing and excited to be part of this global disruption. Back to you, Gary.
Okay, now we're going to do rapid fire. We've got one last question. We're going to do this in a little different format, so we have to stay agile here. So I'm going to ask, looking ahead, what innovations should energy firms, I had to move because it was blocked, prepare to stay competitive? Okay, so that's the question. VJ, Selena, and John, I want one thing, top things that come to your mind, then we're going to pass it on. So then I will take a few minutes and close this out. Okay, VJ, one thing, what comes top of mind?
Yeah. There is a tremendous innovation happening across the energy domain right now, whether it's geology, engineering, decarbonization, geothermal, some of the things that Selena was talking about, and entirely new sources of energy. But if I had to pick one single most important innovation that enables all of that innovation to move faster and cheaper, it's this idea of having intelligence on tap. And that's what we mean by becoming a frontier firm of the future.
I love it. Thank you. Selena, top of mind, one thing.
So I'd say agentic AI is here to stay. What you're going to see more and more of going forward is investments in physical AI. So moving from thinking to thinking and acting, making machines adaptive, interactive, and capable of performing tasks. So think about everything we can do with sensors, robots, drones, and machines to really support critical metrics in our business that drive EBITDA. So all the people aspects and workflow processes you are going to see enabled with agentic AI, but you're going to see more and more and more happening in the field with that physical AI component.
Awesome. Great insights. John, one thing. You're competitive. You're out front. How do you stay out in front?
I'll try to keep it to one thing. But I mean, we're in a unique business. I mean, we deal in commodity-based, volatile business, which deals mostly in risk management. And how do we deal with that and stay competitive? Retain qualified staff, provide what they need, provide the data that we need as a company to make the right decisions. AI allows us to multitask like no other system out there right now. We need to manage incredible amounts of data and answer that question. On Monday morning, I wish I would have known this before it happened. And AI allows us to have a lot of that information that wasn't readily available and be prepared. And that's it. But I think number one is start the process. Pick 2 or 3 things that you need to address as a company and use that as kind of the fuel to grow within AI and start obtaining the necessary process and information you need to stay competitive. And more importantly, use it to just really create the capacity to be more innovative and technical and proactive in your business.
What a way to wrap. What a way to wrap. What a incredible 40 or so minutes of insights. And honestly, this should have gone on for a half a day. So thank you all for going along the journey with me on these 5 questions and sharing everything that you have for all of us to gain incredible insights and examples, and hopefully things that everybody can take forward, whether you're a customer right now, whether you're a prospect, whether you're a partner, or whether you're from Microsoft or any other ecosystem. Just very honored to be with you all today. Let's wrap it up. All right. Thank you for joining us as we are shaping the future together. One of our objectives today was for you to be inspired. And that's what I certainly hope after hearing all the great discussion today. Hopefully you're inspired by this AI era, by the solutions that are actually being put in place in the field that you can take advantage of to not only, as we say, survive, but thrive going forward. We appreciate your time and insights. We've got questions that were put in the Q&A. Thanks for that. We will get back to you on that. Please visit us at MangoBytes AI And you can go through that website. It's a lot deeper than just the toolbar on top. There's so much insights in there. Please feel free to go into it, watch the demo vignettes, learn, ask us questions. Let's be on this journey together. Lots of tools and resources. Please follow us on LinkedIn at MangoBytes and click on like. And then you can stay connected with us for all the upcoming sessions and information. And let's connect. Reach out to Brett. That is an agent, not an agent, sorry. It could be an undercover agent, right? But he is a real human, great part of the MangoBytes team on our side. He's Director of Business Development. Reach out to Brett with any questions. He will follow up with everybody on this session with information. We're going to try to actually get you out the recording of this so you can listen it, share it in the future. And then Brett will be a contact for you going forward. His last name is Peterson. There's no coincidence there. He does have very good access to me as well. So if you want to get to me, go to Brett, and we could have a great conversation going forward. Building the frontier firm of the future, one AI agent at a time. It's been awesome spending time with you. And from all of us to all of you, happy holidays, and hope to be talking with you all very soon. Take care.